So, hi everyone. Welcome to the session. My name is Meredith Merriman, and I'll be moderating today. So, Wendy Cisneros is here to talk to us. She's a medical assistant at King County, correct?
Yes, County
Yep.
Public.
And so what we'll do is she'll be presenting, and as she's presenting, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, and I will, when there's a pause, I'll go ahead and ask her, or you can raise your hand by using reactions. And with that, Wendy, go for it. So while we're all waiting, I pulled up Wendy's, I pulled her up on a website, and I'm going to tell you about her career because she wrote this. So she went to Everest College in Everett to be a medical assistant. She went there from 2015 to 2016. Even before that, she was an administrative assistant at Health Point. So that was working the front desk. And if you've ever went into a doctor's appointment, the person you saw, it was Wendy. So greeting the patients, taking phone calls, making sure appointments are scheduled correctly. After she graduated from Everett, she became the medical assistant. And it sounds like it looks like she worked at the Polyclinic, and she's part of King County's public health COVID response team. So for King County, for those of you who aren't aware, it's kind of like the city, but bigger. We have a lot of health clinics throughout the area, and she works in one of the clinics. I couldn't hear, but it looked like downtown, but I'm not sure. When Wendy comes back, she can tell us. But that's her general, where her career started and where it's at now. So a lot of healthcare people have had to stop maybe their day-to-day jobs of being medical assistants in a clinic to go help work on COVID response. So yeah, that's been what a lot of people are doing right now, specifically who work in healthcare. So that's as much as I got without going into a whole other thing. So I'll wait for Wendy.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yay. Okay.
I don't know if you heard me, but I looked you up on LinkedIn and gave them your bio.
I did. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I
apologize. It's been, yes.
I will let you take it away, and we have about 13 more minutes, so go for it.
Okay. Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to be able to join King County Public Health during the most stressful time of our time, and it's during COVID times. I started with King County last summer. I was part of the COVID response emergency team, and I was part of the testing side, which was behind our building at the Fourth and Blanchard Clinic. It was an exciting experience, as crazy as it sounds. It gave us so much opportunity to just engage with community and educating them in, basically a really scary time. After that, I transitioned into the flow pool. In King County, in public health, there's only primary care. So we don't have specialties. So I was just floating in between the Eastgate Clinic and downtown. And in both of the clinics, Eastgate and downtown, there's residents. Eastgate is the Virginia Mason residents, and down here, downtown, is the Swedish residents. It's an amazing experience. I have been super blessed to be able to be part of this team. Like I said, every day there's always something going on. There's always an emergency code. It's really great to be able to be part of this career, especially now, how, believe it or not, even though like things are coming down a little bit with COVID, there's still some uncertainties now, especially with the vaccine. That has been another exciting part of it, being part of that, part of the vaccine team. And yeah, any questions?
So Wendy, could you kind of talk about how general primary care is different than a specialty and when you see patients in primary care?
Yeah, primary care is basically the initial consultation. The first time you see a doctor for something that is happening to your, let's be specific, a headache. Things that are manageable are going to be treated here in primary care. In the event that there's always going to be a follow-up until we kind of find a solution to the problem. Sometimes we just do just regular therapies. You know, the doctor might start with ibuprofen or Tylenol or cold compresses. If things don't get better, we'll probably transition into medication. If things don't get better with that, then that's when we refer patients to a different specialty. But primary care it's exactly what that means. It's the primary doctor that is going to care for your medical needs. And then in the event that everything is needed, we just transfer patients to a different specialty. And there's always going to be follow-ups with primary care.
Thanks.
Mhm.
And then could you speak to what you do as a medical assistant in general?
Yeah. Usually I end my days preparing for the next day. Here at King County Public Health, we do what it's called pre-charting for the doctors. We go through the patient's charts to see what the patients need ahead of time. Most likely they need paperwork, some of the mental health forms that they need to fill out, vaccinations. It gives you a lot of room to kind of investigate and get to know the patient a little bit more to see what they need. So for the next day, a regular 8-hour day will consist in, depending who the doctor is, will consist in either 8 in-person patients and the rest over the phone, or we will have like 16 patients, 14 patient days. And it's just introducing my patient from the moment I get them from the lobby, walk them into the room. That time from the lobby to the room is when we kind of get to know each other. Take them to the room, and once we're there, we get just a little bit of information about the reason they're here. And then from then we go to the vitals, which will be weight. Sometimes depending on the visit type, we'll do height. We always do blood pressure for our patients, pulse, oxygen, temperatures. Depending on what the doctor or the type of visit that it is, if it's a diabetic patient, we'll have our patients remove their shoes, their socks, so we can do a diabetic foot exam. We'll do point of care tests, which will be an A1C and a glucose for those type of patients. And just during like that visit, like the time that we MAs spend with the patients will be like about 5 to 10 minutes the most. And after that, after we end our part, we go and give a little bit of a report to the doctors, and then they continue with the visit until it's time for us to take over again, which will be any instructions that the doctor needs the patient to know. So that way we'll do it, and then they move to the next patient. And that's how it goes every day.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And let's see. And what's the difference from when you worked at the polyclinic? Because that's, I won't say it's a hospital. I know it's not a hospital, but how's the difference in working for the polyclinic versus when you moved to public health and worked working downtown? Like, how are working in the two clinics different?
It actually is, it's a big difference because a lot of places are for profit, and a lot of clinics like that one, they take private insurance, which the care that we give to the patients is, it's a little different. I don't want to say different in a bad way, but I would notice that as a person, for a lot of reasons, as a woman of color who has experienced houselessness, who didn't have insurance before, for patients that want to go to facilities that are private, that have state insurance, the treatment is different, unfortunately. As to public health, it's just like a different level of, the spirit of our patients is so much different, because I'm not saying that a private place, the patients that go to a private facility are not kind, but they're different than the patients that actually need the care that public health provides. And it's just having to like match in some of the experiences. It's what makes, for me, working with public health so much better. It's just being able to help a patient. Sometimes patients will come in that have experienced domestic violence. They feel safe here. I have had opportunities to feed a patient and to provide patients with clothes, with shower stuff, with bus passes, with gift cards. So that's a reward for me, to have made somebody's day. That's way different than working from a different place, a private place, if that makes sense.
It does. Does anyone have any questions regarding Wendy's moving from being an administrative assistant, moving into being a medical assistant, or any questions regarding working in the clinic? Come on, it took us a lot of work to get to this point.
I will say though, if there's no questions, but I will say that for any young members that are, considering being in the medical field, let's say nursing long-term, or even a medical doctor long-term, I will say that starting front desk and maybe transitioning into probably CNA or MA will be a great way, because I'm telling you something, I have had to tell residents how to do things.
So Wendy, we have a question. What kind of courses did you take to be a medical assistant?
So it was actually awesome, because while I was in the front desk, I was able to kind of challenge the school a little bit, and I asked them if I could take a test, kind of like drop some of the insurance and office. It was insurance, office, and I believe it was like medical records a little bit out of the courses, because I've already had experience at that point, 5 years. So that was good. And then the school, it took about like, at least for me, it took like about 7-9 months. And it was just like quick. It goes into different mods. And every day it's not so much a book, it's all hands-on. Every day you were doing blood pressures, you were doing everything super practical. So it's like, it's fast paced, but at the same time you are learning while you're doing what you're going to be doing in clinic, if that makes sense.
Awesome. So make sure to fill that out. Wendy, thank you so much. Thank you for your enthusiasm, and everyone.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for your patience while we worked through all this.
Yes.
And we'll see you in the main room.